been forever since I have heard that sound from this operating system. This is my childhood operating system right here, actually. I haven't really used it in forever. How much RAM did I give it? Like, I think I gave it 512 megabytes. Okay. So yeah, this is Windows XP. This is the operating system I grew up on. I had an old Dell tower, which is what I used it on. A little CRT monitor and some really nice Dell speakers. Well, at the time they were nice Dell speakers. A lot of people say 2000 kids don't know any of these sounds or anything, which this is what I grew up on. So I'm just going to take a look at it and basically tell you about my childhood. I lived in a different city than I live now. I grew up in an abusive household. I got this computer, it was an old Dell tower from my grandmother, which had a Pentium 4 in it, I presume. Probably like maybe 2 gigs of RAM, probably 1 gig, probably 1 gig. But that's basically what I did on my free time when I wasn't in school or basically getting abused. I had a really messed up childhood, but that's behind me now, so we're going to push that aside, and I'm going to look at the bright side of this. As time goes on, I realize how much life is actually... It's basically like when you go down a road, and there's 2 ways to go. It doesn't matter which way you go. There's going to be consequences. There's going to be times where times are tough. 100 things that I could say right now. But this is my childhood operating system. That sound that I just listened to brought back so many memories. That is bringing back memories, to be honest with you. One thing I did a lot in Windows XP was when I was really bored, I would go to the all programs and I would just play all of these games right here. Like pinball, I'd play. Minesweeper, I'd play. Minesweeper, I played quite a bit, actually. Yeah, so it's been quite a while since I played it. Look at that. Nope. Yep. Damn it. So, I don't remember the actual trick to this game, but I know I played it quite a bit. Sometimes I would write stuff. I used to draw on Paint. I remember now. I didn't know a lot about computers at this time, so I was still learning. But I knew how the basic operations of Windows worked, which was nice. But yeah, so... Wait, what? Wow. That sound brings back memories, too. Yeah, so I mean, this is Windows XP. As I said, I didn't know a lot about computers at the time, so I wasn't like... I used to mess with it a lot. I changed my picture and stuff. I think the main picture I used was either the chess, the cat, or like the spaceman, or even the jet. We'll do the jet. I don't think I've ever had a password on my computer, so I'm not going to mess with that. I didn't like mess with anything too in-depth, like if... I don't think I really messed a lot with CMD. I wonder... Oh wow, the colors are still here. That's interesting. So that must have been implemented for a while. That's cool, actually. That's a thing. Obviously, help's going to be a thing. What else did I do? I didn't really like... I never had any software built in. I remember my stepdad helping me get... My abusive stepdad. He used to download like wallpapers and stuff for me. I remember having my setup. This was my gaming setup back then. I would play Mario. I'd play Mario 3D World. I'd play... Or not 3D World. Mario... I don't know, like a whole bunch of Mario games. I used to play that Islands game. I'm trying to remember what the game's called. It's like... your girlfriend's taken in the second one, and you have to like chase and stuff. It was a really amazing game. It's a game I used to play all the time. What my gaming setup was it was my CRT monitor, my 2 speakers, my keyboard and mouse, which was some basic Dell stuff that came with the computer as OEM, and then I had a Ninja Turtles wallpaper. And on that CRT, to me, it looked fucking sick. Obviously, now looking at a 144 hertz panel, this is completely new to me. I know I'm only 17, and I know a lot more about old stuff than I actually thought I did. And it's not new to me. I've obviously, since I've aged, like I've gotten into the newer technology since I'm in that year. Like my dad, for example, he used fucking MS-DOS. He used all that old shit. I think he used Windows 3.1. I'd have to ask him. And I remember for a while we had our old Macs and stuff that would we'd have our old Macs at the school, and we had like Mac OS Snow Leopard and shit, which is still my favorite Mac OS operating system to this day. Mac OS Mojave's it's okay, but yeah. So I grew up on Windows XP. I never did Windows 3.1. I never had Commodore 64s. I never had the personal computer from IBM or anything like that. I started on a basic Dell desktop. I moved on to a nice little netbook. It's probably not in this order, but I moved on to a netbook. I was running Windows 7 Starter. Probably had like a Celeron or something in it. Probably like 2 gigs of RAM around there. And then I had a gateway desktop that had a AMD Athlon in it, a really old one. I think it had 4 gigs of RAM in it, and a really old AMD, like, I want to say an older AMD card. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to like look back into stuff, but I don't think I ever did a video on it, so I couldn't tell you. It was an E-machine. It was shitty. It was a Windows 7 computer, so that's when I actually discovered Windows 7, and I'm going to be doing a video on that. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely going to do a video on all my childhood stuff, where I started and stuff, because I went from Windows XP to Windows 7. Actually, no. When I moved in with my stepdad. Oh, okay. So let me start over. So I had Windows 7 on my old desktop, and obviously Windows 7 Starter on my netbook. And if these videos bore you guys, let me know. But Windows 7 on my netbook, and then when I moved in with my real dad, I got an old Dell Inspiron tower. It had a Celeron in it, had 4 gigs of RAM, had like a 500 gig hard drive, I think. And those other computers I had like probably like a 100 gig hard drive in that netbook, maybe 120, 250 around there. Then the Dell tower probably had like maybe 100 gigs, it was probably like an 80 gig hard drive if you think about it. You know what I just noticed? If you look right here, that kind of looks like the Mac OS wallpaper. That is weird. Is that where Apple got their wallpaper? That's interesting. I'm probably completely wrong, but that's still very interesting. Anyway, I came to my real home where I live now, and I had that Dell tower. It was a little Inspiron. Had a really old AMD, or not an AMD, it had a Celeron in it. And that is when I discovered Windows Vista. And it's weird that I went from Windows 7 back to Windows Vista, and then I upgraded it to Windows 7 because Windows Vista was crap, even on the hardware it was meant for. Windows 7 ran 10 times better on it. After that desktop died, the power supply actually fried in it, which fried all the components. After that desktop fried, I got a really old bare bones laptop. It had like a, I don't remember, it had Windows XP built into it. It was probably, I feel like it was an Intel Core. It was either a Centrino Duo. Excuse me. It was a Centrino Duo, or I think it might have been a Core 2 Duo, but that had Windows XP on it, and I accidentally deleted the partition. So my father made me have that instead of the gaming tower he had, which was a Dell XPS 710, one of those big tall ass fuckers with the full metal case. That fucker is heavy, by the way. It was an amazing computer. I had a GTX 8800. I wish I never deleted that partition because I could have had that desktop. But look at me now. I have a whole new desktop. But yeah, so that's my childhood. I could get way more in depth with it if you wanted me to, but this is what I grew up on, was Windows XP, my first operating system. And then a few years later, when I got into high school, 7th grade, one of my old teachers had a netbook or a computer from a hospital, so it was running Windows 2000, which I'll tell you what, that was a pain and it was a nightmare to try to use. It would not connect to the internet. I'm pretty sure it only had dial-up anyway. I think Windows 2000 was around the era where Ethernet was a thing, but I think it only had dial-up, so that was not getting on the internet. It was locked too, so the only thing you could do is as a guest password. I wish I knew enough about computers to go back so I could reinstall Windows 2000 with a flash drive or something, so I could have used that laptop, because that thing was a beautiful laptop. It was old as shit, but I love the look of older things. I really want to get a sleeper case for my daily driver computer. I have to buy a new motherboard because mine's all messed up and stuff, but I want to get like a sleeper case, like a really old sleeper case, like an old Dell one that'll support all my hardware, and put it in there so I can mess with people. People are trying to figure out why I'm playing freaking Apex Legends on an old ass computer. It'd just be sick. Alrighty guys, so yeah, that's like I I don't know. I always loved learning new things about an operating system. I used the Silver for a bit. I don't know. It was very interesting to me like that. Yeah, no, we're not. I think my favorite wallpaper, if you guys are curious, I actually used this one. Well, this one, and it looked better on the CRT, as you can see in this photo right here. It looked a lot better on the CRT because it was shrunken down a little more, so the pixels weren't stretched. But yeah, so I grew up on Windows XP. I've basically grew up on computers. It's just something I've always loved. I like cars and stuff. I like engines, but honestly, I think my biggest passion will definitely be computers. Hopefully, I can get a job with that, and I can make quite a bit of money from doing stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. If you guys did not enjoy the video, drop a dislike. I don't know why I stutter like that when I'm talking. I gotta think my words through fully. But yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video, and peace out.